Let's talk about the significance of this result, starting with Chelsea.
Yeah.
Because, as you mentioned, Kepa dropped again. Batshuayi starting when he just looks completely out of form. As Giroud at least gave you a little something when he came off the bench.
Well,
What's gone wrong with Chelsea?
Let's start with the goalkeeper. It's crystal clear that Frank Lampard has a beef with Kepa. I understand he wants rid of him. He doesn't like him. I'm not as a person. He doesn't fancy him as a goalkeeper. He doesn't think his attitude's good enough, and he wants him out. The Chelsea board are worried that they've shelled out a fortune on this guy, and hence they're going to take a massive hit if they do that. So there's a fight going on. Literally speaking, there's a fight going on between Lampard and the board at the moment. So when you do that, Dan, because clearly it's so tight there, you're going to have to play your best players because you might not finish in the top 5 or 6.
Yeah.
It's so muddy. So when you make that fight with the board, as it seems, you've got to be winning. Because when you're not winning games, you're putting yourself under more pressure. And that's an interesting one. We all thought Kepa was going to come back in today. He didn't. I'm not saying that's why they lost, but he's got a clear fight on with the board at Chelsea. They don't want to take the financial loss, and he's standing his ground. That's fine when you're winning games regular. They're not at the moment.
Him and I, I'm talking about Craig, we had an argument about whether Batshuayi plays or Giroud plays.
It was
right?
quite a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my argument was, well, they try to get Giroud out the door. Batshuayi has scored a goal in the last 2 games, and because he's staying, he's going to start him first. Craig said to me, that is mental. If you want to get in the top 4, you play your best players.
Yeah.
Now, I argued about that, and I still will argue about it. But what you cannot argue about is when you are putting somebody like Caballero in ahead of Kepa. The difference between Batshuayi and Giroud is minimal, in my opinion. But the difference between Caballero and Kepa is it's a cavern, and you saw it on the first goal. So he's 100% out of order. Try to be stubborn and not play the best keeper.
Let's go to Don. Frank Lampard, one of your BFFs. What's he doing wrong?
He is one of BFFs. I can't take that away from you. There was a number of things tonight. The Kepa one's a bizarre one because I think the guys are right. He doesn't fancy Kepa, but the middleman is obviously Petr Cech, who's I think a sporting director or performance coach. I think at one of the very highest levels. So he's obviously in favour of Kepa because he fancies him as goalkeeper. He thinks he's really good. They've paid a record fee for him. So that's where the dilemma's coming from. I thought on the pitch tonight, I thought Kovacic was superb. I thought he was the best player in the park. But Chelsea was so imbalanced down their left-hand side. Reece James played at right back and Azpilicueta played at left back. And every time they went down the left-hand side, he kept cutting back onto his right foot. And, you know, Alonso was sitting on the bench tonight. So it's easy in hindsight. But I thought there was a point in the game maybe he could have brought Alonso on for a little bit more balance. And the Giroud-Batshuayi one's a massive debate. He obviously went with Batshuayi because of his legs and what he can offer in behind. But as a midfield player, you'd want to play with Giroud all day long because he's a good presence, holds the ball up really well, and he brings his midfield players into the game.
Meanwhile, boys, we've got to give Manchester United credit. You go to Stamford Bridge, you win 2-0, no matter what the officials or whatever happens, you've got the job done, and you are now very much in the race for a Champions League place.
Absolutely, and they are in the race. There's a lot of poor teams in the race, I will say that, and they're one of them. It's not a great chasing pack, it has to be said, and Chelsea are showing a lot of cracks. The interesting thing is, and we've been very critical, a lot of us have been critical about Solskjaer, but Frank Lampard's going to, if he doesn't get this team from that position they were in over the line, bearing in mind the top 5 are probably going to get Champions League places, then he's going to have to make sure he's got a really good relationship with his board the way he's going. But as for Solskjaer, he may get them into this Champions League spot, That's never going to, and not out of stubbornness, that is still not going to change my mind in terms of whether he's the right man to take them going forward. Just because you might stumble into a Champions League place doesn't mean you are the man. But if he can get them in there, then Man United have got a decision to make whether he takes them forward.
The good news for United is that Bruno Fernandes has come in. You clearly see that he's upped the quality.
He's a breath of fresh air. I'll tell you what, though, he must be sitting after the game thinking, I've never done so much running and chasing and running around as I did today. Because what you saw today is exactly what Manchester United are. they will not do anything. All they're trying to do is hit you on the break. They score against the run of play, and you're playing against a side in Chelsea who can't hit a barn door from 3 yards.
Yeah.
This is the Manchester United of today. It may be winning, but I'll tell you what, it's bang average.
Frank Lampard has had this Chelsea side play some nice stuff. They've played some nice stuff for most of the season, but the final third is killing them. However, he's not the only manager that's had Chelsea play some nice stuff, and he's clearly getting a little bit more leeway with some media and certainly a lot of supporters because of his time at the football club.
Right.
Right? There's no doubt he's getting no?
I tell you what, he's in 4th place. You know, at the start of the season,
No,
I couldn't envisage how they were going to get in the top 4. I know what you're saying, but
it's
he's actually in the top 4.
Yeah, but it's starting to regress. It's 1 win in 6 in the league. If that was, say, Maurizio Sarri, 1 win in 6, even if they were in that position, there would be a lot of calls for him, I think, to say, does this guy know what he's doing?
Frank, quickly, who finishes higher, Chelsea or United, come the end of the season?
Well, my heart will have to speak, but I think the football is more interesting at Chelsea. But Manchester United has a real power. They are very courageous. They work hard. Again, in the second half, they press very well Chelsea, pretty high on the field. They're not scared of going high on the field. So they have chances, both of them. But I will go, of course, for Chelsea, and I'm sorry for the Manchester United fans.
You're not sorry at all, Frank. Don't lie. Don, same question to you quickly.
No.
Oh, I think Chelsea for sure. Even though they are stumbling, I mean, you can't be losing to teams like Bournemouth, teams like West Ham. They've lost some bad results at Stamford Bridge, threw loads of points away. I think, just to add to what the guys were saying now, I think the main difference between Frank and probably Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is, yes, Chelsea have had a transfer ban, but don't forget they lost Eden Hazard. I think if he plays for Chelsea tonight, I think they win the game.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN Plus.